Hi there and welcome back to my Flosstube channel. My name is Jess and I go under the name Little Bay Piku, both here on YouTube and over on Instagram. We'll put my details down below if you want to follow me from there. Thank you to all those that have joined along or watched my previous videos and a few new subscribers as well. I hope you really enjoyed the video I filmed last. It was a slightly different video, episode number 6, where I did a bit of an interview chat along with my mum. Thank you for all the really kind comments in that video in particular. She really enjoyed it. I don't think she's going to venture into the world of YouTube anytime soon. Even trying to keep her up to date with how to use Instagram is enough. I'm not, I can imagine the questions of her trying to upload a YouTube video, but we'll definitely try and get her back on another video later in the year when I see her again. But otherwise today, so I'm back home, back in my normal setting. And I've got quite a few things to show you. Got a couple of fully finished objects and sort of finished objects, a couple of updates on my whips and some plans going forward, and a little bit of a life update as well, just to sort of preempt with a bit of a life update to start off with. Otherwise, it'll make things a lot more make sense in the video going forward. So we're heading off to Europe on a 3 and a bit week holiday this coming week. So I'm sort of really filming this because I'm procrastinating from sort of cleaning. I've actually already packed most of my clothes. That the great thing about traveling into summer is that you can pack things away now knowing that I won't need to wear them in the next couple of days. And then we've got friends also coming to stay in our house while we're away. So it's just sort of getting everything sort of tidy and organized so that they come and arrive at a nice clean home. So yeah, so that kind of makes sense for a few of my plans and what I've got coming up. So I thought I'd film this. I probably now won't get a chance to film another video until maybe mid-August. So, but I will still be posting sort of updates of my stitching on Instagram. So feel free to follow on there for sort of a bit more of a detailed play-by-play of what I'm up to. So we'll jump into it. So my finished objects I've got to show today, I've already shown these on Instagram. So, and I've had such an amazing response to both items that I'm going to show. So thank you for all your kind comments on those already. I can't help myself but share before filming a video. So my first one is, and I showed part of this as a finish a few weeks or 2 videos ago, which was the Little Bo Peep pattern by Kiera. And so this is the finished object. So there is a combination of the Little Bo Peep pattern and the Little Boy Blue, and I've made it into a Needlebook. So I'll show you sort of a more closer update. So this is her with her lovely little sheep. So I stitched this on 32 count linen. I think it's the raw with the white spots on it. Really fun, quite whimsical, quite my style. Looking forward to stitching more on this fabric. And then on the back, we have Little Boy Blue with his little lamb. So I decided to make this into a Needlebook cover. It's the first time I've made one, so I'll just sort of talk through the steps of what I did. First of all, I decided I was looking at originally doing a button closure, but then the button would have had to go on in here somewhere and that would sort of interfere with the stitching. So I decided just to do sort of a ribbon tie closure. I mean, most of the time it stays open anyhow. And then what I did is, I'll show you the inside first, it'll be easier. So this is the inside of the book. I've sewn in little felt pages, and then on each felt page I've just sort of cross stitched in the numbers, so 24, 26, 28, which is the size needles I use, and then the last page I sewed in a pocket for other sort of more embroidery or sort of beading needles to go in there. But yeah, so I sewed it first of all, so these 2 pieces together, the 2 bits of stitching I did inside out with the fabric and the little pocket on the inside, and then flipped it around so that it was all the right way around. These 2, and then basically then just took the felt pages and sewed them in down the middle of the spine of the back. I'm probably not explaining this very well, but there's a lot better tutorials out there online. And then, so for the detailing, I just took a piece of ribbon and I sort of like hand stitched some rickrack onto it for a bit of difference. Originally, I was looking at some sort of big thick ribbon to do like as a spine of the book, but the ribbon wouldn't have folded very well to kind of get that like tidy book closure I wanted. So decided that would just add a little bit of difference to the front of it, and really happy with how it turned out. Then on the inside, I had this running pocket along the inside covers of the book. And on the back there, I decided just to sort of hand stitch one line down there. So then that's now like a little pocket to fit other sort of needles in. But otherwise really happy with it. So definitely have been using it. It's a lot easier to keep all my needles in one place. It kind of makes them easier to sort and to know what I have. I found otherwise every time I was going to do, going to the local needlework shop, that I was buying another packet of needles that I didn't really need. So yeah, really stoked with how that turned out, and it's something I'm sure I'll have for years to come. So yeah, definitely recommend. I mean, these patterns are super cute for any sort of little stitching like gifts for people, or otherwise really easy to turn into like a little case or a little makeup bag or anything like that. So yeah, definitely recommend those patterns, and yeah, just such fun colors and stitching, and I love it. So I'm very happy with it. So that's my first fully finished object. Then the other fully finished object I finished last night. So as you've probably been following along, I think since almost I started this Flosstube perhaps, was the stitch along by Satsuma Street called Animal House. So every 2 weeks there was a different part of the house released, 6 parts in total, with a different sort of part of the house and a window with an animal inside it. And on Friday, so I'm filming this on Sunday, so what are we now? Sunday afternoon. On Friday, she released the final part number 6. So I got my needles going and finished off part 6. And then I got it all completed by midnight last night, which was great. So this is, I have put this in a frame, as I'll show. It's not a permanent frame, but here is Animal House, and I'll just bring it up closer. So part 6 was this dome and the sun and the bird, and then this part here, but completed. So I stole this frame off the wall. It had some postcards in it that were starting to all kind of fall out of shape anyhow. So at the moment I've done, like the classic sort of just pin at the back, how when you see how, when, models are modeling clothes, and then you realize that it's basically the clothes that look well fitted on a model because it's all just clipped at the back of the, on how it's fit. So that's sort of the framing I've got at the moment. What I'll do is I'll eventually, when I get back from holiday, is properly sort of lace across the back, and still kind of a rather, not a super permanent professional framing finish, but I like how that looks, and it really fits the frame quite well. But yeah, so here's an up close view. So we've got the peacock, the zebra, the lion, the flamingos, the tiger, the sloth, the kangaroo and its joey, and then we've got the tall giraffe and the monkey. And I mean, I'm a huge, obviously, Satsuma Street fan, as you can tell, but all the cities I've done as well. But like her colors are just amazing. I love these kind of oranges and pinks and yellows in this area, and I love this like purple and orange. I think I like quite contrasting colors, obviously. So, and then the blues and greens she used in the roof of the building. So yeah, it's probably one of my biggest stitches as well. And I don't know if it was released as a pattern. I don't think it would really jump out at me. It's not, I guess it's sort of, whimsical and fun, but I sort of look at it and be like, that's quite a lot of work and not sure where to start. But really enjoyed doing my first stitch along and keeping up to date, because then it meant slowly, just bit by bit. I worked on it over the last, I think it was every fortnight, so I guess the last 12 weeks. Was really enjoyable. So I see she's already put a note that there'll be a Christmas stitch along coming out later this year, so no doubt I'll be keen on that one. But yeah, I particularly like this stitch along because there's no border, so there's no sort of pre-stitching a border first, so you didn't have to sort of worry about that whole kind of just stitching lots of straight lines and making sure they end up meeting at the end. So yeah, super happy, love it. So now I need to find somewhere for that to go on the wall. But so those are my 2 finishes. And then otherwise, I've only actually got 2 whips that I'm working on at the moment. So my whip parade consists of 2 projects. So I really need to make some starts, which I do have in my plans today as well. But the whips I have to show are the first one. I'll show you the other Satsuma Street design. So as you, if you've seen my channel before, I've stitched all of the Satsuma Street cities, which I've got behind me, apart from the Seattle one, which I do have the pattern and everything ready to go. I just haven't really got around to that. And then the other one is Greece, which I'm stitching at the moment. So I'll try and put a picture here of what it looked like when I did my last update, which I think I did in my last video. And here is the update as of yet. So I think, if I can remember what the last update was, I believe I've stitched this building and this bridge along here and a little bit of the water, and maybe the building's under the water. But yeah, loving how that looks as well. Again, her colour choices are just very, very good. Even like when you look at the patterns, the colours are quite muted, like the colour patterns, and then when you pick the threads and start stitching, it just comes to life. So following my progress of stitching one sort of area of building at a time. So there's a couple more buildings, two sort of other major landmark buildings down here. Then there's a sea and there's a sailboat. So I think it will pretty much come down to where the bottom of my fold is at the moment. Yeah, loving how that is coming along. This one I'm sort of on the fence of whether deciding to take it on holiday with me. So if I don't, it will just sit here as it is. I might get some more stitching in before we head off. But otherwise, yeah, hopefully that will otherwise be a finish when we come back. So, and then I will need to make a start on Seattle. I think that will be my next plan, and maybe sort of do it progressively with one building every month or something like that, just to make sure I've got the whole set done. Then my other whip I've got at the moment is the Rainbow Garden by Una Buena Piazza. Her designs are found on Etsy. So I'll put a picture here of where I was when I did my last update. And then this is it now. So I've just been stitching obviously a lot more of the flowers. Been sort of working on the colours kind of run diagonally across the design. So sort of been working in that kind of diagonal setting. I spoke in my last video, I'm trying to decide with so there's a couple of ghosts and also a skull in here as well, and the ghost here and here, which I've left out at the moment. I think I am going to do them in glow-in-the-dark beads. So I'm just waiting, and I'm going to do that at the end, because otherwise, this one I'm mainly stitching in hand. And otherwise I thought when I start rolling it and, you know, folding it, that the beads, you know, it's may as well leave. I assume most beading you leave to the end, so you don't sort of damage them, you know, as you're going. But this is, yeah, I really enjoy stitching this. It is a bit of a slower stitch because you kind of do have to work on sort of one colour, and you've got to really watch your counting. There's a couple of areas I think in here where I'm sort of one stitch over, so you can kind of just make it work. Like it's, you know, I definitely wouldn't go and start unpicking anything, and it's nothing that's noticeable to anyone else, but well, unless you're going to sit there and look at the pattern and check to see what maybe motif I've slightly changed. But I'm really enjoying stitching it. I kind of work this quite well. I have my I have like a arm type lamp that is just a small lamp that I kind of have on the couch with me, and this one I kind of shine the lamp underneath the stitching on the white side of my kind of quilt, and then I find that I can see the holes quite easily with the black Ada. But otherwise, yeah, so really enjoying that. So this one won't be coming on holiday with me, just because like I couldn't imagine trying to stitch on this on the plane would be quite tricky with the black Ada. And also, I mean, I don't know how much stitching I'm going to do on holiday itself, but I think I'll, yeah, maybe do a little bit more work on this one maybe tonight, and then park it up for when I get back. But yeah, I'm loving that so far. And I've also recently acquired from the Pastel Garden as well, so might get started on this. But this one, yeah, we are doing a stitch along, so with Stitchy Symphony. She put a video on her page a few videos back about with all the hashtags. So if you are looking to stitch this, please do drop a message through or tag it on Instagram. Always just remember, if your account's set on private on Instagram and you use the hashtags, then they don't sort of show up in the main hashtag search feed. So just to be wary of that as well. But yeah, keen to see anyone else that's giving this or one of her other designs a go. So that is my finishes and my whips. So that is literally all my stitching I have to show you today. So for those that are interested to hang around now, I'll show you a little bit more of my plans. And also I might need some help on a question I have. And sort of some, not so much haul, but stitchy kindness that I've received or done or made in the last few weeks. So with going away, I have decided to take at the moment 2 projects with me, which I think should be fine. I don't, yeah, it's hard to know. Well, I've got another project. I'll take enough for a 3rd project as an emergency in case I run out of stitching on the plane on the way home. But yeah, so I'm in New Zealand, and we're flying to Bologna in Italy. So we go New Zealand, Singapore, hour or so there, a couple of hours I think, then Singapore to Frankfurt in Germany, and then Frankfurt to Bologna. So I think all up I think it's, I don't even know, 32 hours, not sure. So it's a wee while, it's a wee bit of traveling. Of course, during that time you do need to sleep on planes unless you want to become a complete zombie at the other end. But if you can't sleep, then you can stitch and watch movies. That's all basically just sitting there for hours on end. So with that, I've decided I'm going to do Yellow Submarine because I like the idea of stitching a submarine while in the sky. So this is a Blackbird Designs pattern. I'm not sure, I believe it's still in print. It's part of the Beatles Magical Mystery Tour series. And I have this one, and I have the Eleanor Rigby as well. But this one has been calling for me to start. So I've made a really small start. I am doing this on, I believe it's 32 count blue spruce linen. And that's my start so far. So literally a couple of stitches, which is the sort of top of the submarine, this bit here. Mainly because, you know, you don't want to be getting on a plane and then trying to work out where to start. Like when you've got limited space, you know, you want to just kind of just get into it. So this one here I'm doing with all the called for threads. So I've just got them on their cards for now. Those orders come with me in my bag. I've done a photocopy of the pattern, so I have it on my phone as a photocopied PDF, but also just as a hard copy in case, you know, your phone dies. And then this one I have got in one of my new project bags, Care of My Mother. So I chose this fabric and I gave it to her for her, I guess for her birthday. And so she's stitched me or sewn up this little project bag. So it's going to go on this one here. And that will be my plain project for the way over there. The other project I'm taking with me as well is because I figured that one there's got sort of a different, you know, different couple of colours to work with. My other project I've decided to like a monochromatic stitch. So I'm doing, because I guess it's also Jolly July, or when stitching, you know, start stitching for Christmas now is the common theme of what everyone's doing. I am doing the Small Christmas Sampler by Modern Folk Embroidery. I only got the pattern as a PDF, so I'll put a picture of it here of what the pattern looks like. So it's just a lovely sort of different sort of motifs or sort of borders. You could easily break them up and use them as different sort of you know, edging along a towel or anything sort of Christmassy card or anything like that would be quite nice. But decided to stitch the whole pattern as it is. With the design, it's stitched on what's recommended on 32 count linen or 16 count Aida. I have been playing around with what to do it on, so that's where I might need some help. So I went to the shop yesterday and I've decided to branch out of my normal, well, I was originally going to buy some Cottage Garden Threads variegated floss, but they didn't quite have the red that I wanted. They had the colour mistletoe, but it's quite reds and greens, and I don't want to kind of go too like red and greeny for it. I wanted it to kind of be more red. So I decided to get so there's the DMC colour 115, I'm not sure of the name of it, but I decided to try the Cotton Pearl in the size 8. So I got a little, and I've never used these before, so a little ball of that. And I was thinking, okay, this should be like equivalent to like 2 strands of normal DMC thread. So I didn't buy it does come in a normal DMC thread as well, but I decided just to buy the Cotton Pearl. So it's the kind of the, I am not an expert when it comes to threads or anything beyond standard DMC, but it's that kind of where it's not supposed to be divisible. So it's kind of 2 threads wrapped around each other, and then use it as is. But I've kind of realized that this is probably actually more equivalent to, I think, 3 strands of DMC thread. So I'm sort of not wanting to buy any more new linen at the moment. So I didn't buy anything at the shop yesterday because I have got some that I'm collecting all overseas that I've bought online. So I've got enough sort of linen. And my next, when I come back, there will be a bit of a haul video of linens and what I've purchased. So I had this 35 count linen in my stash. So I thought I'd start stitching it this morning to see how that sort of works. So I started stitching it. I don't know how well this is going to show up. Started stitching it there, but it's just like the thread's way too thick for the fabric. So I haven't really used 35 count before. So the highest I guess Ada I've used is 18 count, which all of these are 18 count, and the grease is 18 count with two strands over one. But I was using sort of one strand of the cotton pearl over two on the 35 count, and it just looked really bunchy and was just quite, looks just way too heavy. So I think I'm not going to use this particular fabric for this project. I then sort of just had to play around with using like one strand of DMC over two, so 1 over 2, and I really like, it's probably not really, but I really like how that looks. So, but I mean I could go back to the shop and get this color in normal DMC, but I just don't really have the time to do that. So I'm going to now decided to look what else in my stash. I pulled out this some of that petrol blue 28 count linen, which is the one I use for the Franken's cat, the Lindy stitches, and just had a play. And I quite like, the size of the cotton thickness on that thread. The cotton thickness on this fabric count doesn't look too bad, but I really like this blue, and I think the blue would look quite nice with the variegated, because there's quite a variegated floss, like the variegated reds will look quite cool. But then I just think this is just going to be too dark for stitching again, like on the plane, or in darker light conditions. So I'm going to park that one. So then in my stash I found I had some, and I haven't used this one yet, the 28 count vintage country mocha. So I've started stitching it there, and I think I kind of like the thickness and how that's looking on that particular fabric. So it's going to be like on the 35 count, it was going to be a relatively small finished piece. On the 28 count, it's going to be, I mean, not large, but a bit bigger. But I figured it would be quite a nice sort of size to frame, or to have it on we've got like a little, like a hallway table, or like a little easel where I put like a cross stitch when you come in to the house. So I think this will be then what will be on display at Christmas time. So I'm just going to proceed with the 28 count vintage country mocha. Use what I have, don't want to go buy more fabric for this particular project. Like it is just dipping my foot into the modern folk embroidery, or this, the sampler style world. But I definitely like the look of the like one strand over two on the 35 count. So I've got like my next couple of projects I'm looking at doing are either like 35 or looking at doing a 40 count as well. And definitely, we'll be stitching with one strand. But yeah, I mean, I guess, is this even used for cross stitching? Like when I was in the shop, I was like Googling it, and some people said you can use it for cross stitching. And then I watched a YouTube video and they said, I guess it's more for embroidery. So would love to know anyone's experience with DMC Cotton Pearl. I mean, there's no rules, is there? What is there? No, there's no rules. So this will be my other travel project. So I would be really impressed if I got both finished when I'm away. But yeah, I do have another, so with the Lindy stitches, the Franken's cat design, there was also Purple Transport, which I'll put a picture of here. And this one, I've got the threads all ready to go, and I've got the fabric. So it comes on this Permin Riviera olive linen as a called for fabric. And I've ordered that from a shop in the UK, and it's been sent to one of my friends in London, and then that friend is coming over to Poland towards the end of our trip. So she's going to bring over some fabrics I've ordered. So yeah, I guess I'll have that fabric if I decide if I've somehow had enough time to stitch these projects. Again, be very surprised if I do, but otherwise that, I could do Purple Transport on the way home. But yeah, so I don't know how much time I'll have for stitching, it's going to be hot, and I'm not very good when it comes to hot weather. I think so far the forecast for next sort of weekend in Bologna is like 38 degree high. So that's 38 degrees Celsius, which, let me do the conversion. I think it's, so I guess equivalent to like 100 degrees Fahrenheit. Which I don't know, but to me that's quite hot. So we're currently in winter at the moment in New Zealand. It's actually a very mild day today. I think it's like 15 degrees, so it's like 60 degrees Fahrenheit currently, which is, lovely, cool Auckland weather. And we do get to, last summer we were getting to like equivalent of 32 degrees Celsius, so like about 90 degrees Fahrenheit. And it gets really humid here in New Zealand where I live. So I don't think we'll have that humidity in Europe. But I'm looking forward to plenty of gelato and wine to cool down and get over the jet lag next weekend. And I've double checked that our Airbnb does have air conditioning. because I think going by the jet lag we had when we came back to New Zealand, yeah, our sleeping pattern will be all out of whack going, you know, reverse time. But otherwise, yeah, so excited about those projects. And then I think when I come back, I've got a whole lot of other sort of ones I want to start. So I think it might be, I don't know, I know September, I think the theme kind of for stitching is like Sampler September, but I might do like a starting September and do like a starter week or something like that. If anyone has thought about something like that and would be keen to join, then let me know. So just a few other bits and pieces. So I showed you one. So my mum, I gave her the lovely cat fabric and she made me this project bag, which I've got Submarine in. Then I have also, from that fabric, she also did this project bag, and I particularly like how she has included the selvage from the designer details as well there, and then with the cats on the back. And then she also made me, so I use stitch bows for my DMCs, and so she made me a stitch bow roll. So they just all slot in there, easily to fold up and put away, or with your project, and a tie as well. So super clever. So I know that we've had lots of nice feedback about Mum's project bag, so I am looking at whether to try and pick some more fabrics and then get her to get into production and seeing whether we do look to sell them. But I think I am probably due for doing like another sort of giveaway when I'm back, and it most likely will be project bag themed. So watch out for that if you're keen. Another project bag she made me, I showed her last time she had made a project bag out of this Marimekko fabric, and I was trying to steal it off her. So she made me one of my own. So, and then she's just got some nice plain navy on the back, and then she does like a relatively good sort of vinyl front on the front of it with sort of I don't know if it's even double, yeah, with the cotton. Yeah, double layer cotton at the top, and then the back she does has quilted, so she quilts, in this case she quilted from the front and quilted around all the flowers and the stems, so very cool. And then I did some basic sewing myself. So part of going away, when I'm here I use like a ceramic bowl for my like orts, like your odds and ends of the or the odd random threads that you have when you finish stitching. But I decided I wanted something, you know, I'm not going to take a ceramic bowl with me on the plane, like that would just be a bit silly. So I made this little triangle ort thread catcher, super easy to make. Used some fabric I had in my, with the cute little cats. I've got a very cat thing going on now. So I found the fabric I had in my stash of fabrics uses like a couple of small triangle bits. So I found this particular tutorial I got off a Google via a blog called, I believe the name was a needling thing. So it's a blog posted back in like August 2011. But you know, as great tutorial blog posts are, they don't really date. And so then I have shoved a whole lot of, you know, bits and pieces in there, but you can fit a lot into these little cases. I'll empty this out before I go, but then it's nice and easy kind of just to fold up and pop it in your project bag and then have it sitting there to cover all your bits and pieces so you don't end up with bits of thread all over the show. So made that for travel. The other thing I bought yesterday at the needle workshop, because part of I guess the tricky thing with traveling and being on planes is, of course, you know, it is the requirement of being safe and safety requirements around scissors and everything else itself. And I have had a pair of embroidery scissors taken off me in the past. I believe the rules are that you can have a blade as long as it's not fine tipped, and from like where the round opening hinge part is to the end has to be less than 6 centimeters. But I got these scissors for like a couple of dollars, which are called travel scissors. And so yeah, so they fold in on themselves. So then when they're folded, it's the design, so they're quite stiff, but yeah, folded plastic handle. It's a design you can put on a keyring, which I'm like, why would you want scissors on a keyring? But you know, if you're, you know, always needing a scissors on hand, but you can pull down and then they just cut, and they seem relatively good, like a little stiff. I wouldn't use them all the time, but hoping that I'm gonna take these with me. Like I'll take them out of my bag and put them on the tray so that the security team can see them and see what they think. And if, you know, if they get taken off me, so what? I'll just I'll pause here for a moment and grab my other backup option. So here is my other sort of backup option. So I mean, these are my other normal scissors that I've been using. So like these sort of ones have got, again, like a really small blade, but I just don't want this taken off me because I really like them. Along with my flower scissors, I've even got a smaller blade, but again, I don't want to lose those. And then my stalk scissors, but then they've also got quite a small tip, which would fit all fit within the 6 centimeter rule, but it's just the risk of, I don't want them taken off me. So my other backup that I've used for other times flying is a cuticle cutter. So I guess it's just, you know, it's got there are those DMC pendant cutters you can get, the round ones with the little sharp little kind of blade bits. But this is like a better option than any, I mean, it fits nice and easily in your bag. You're not gonna, it's not in the way. It's just got a very, you know, it's not sharp and it's not necessarily gonna poke at fabric or anything like that, but it's just got enough of a small blade on it that you can kind of easily slice and kind of cut the threads. It does leave the threads a little bit frayed, so I wouldn't use it all the time, but that's a really good option I found for flying and traveling when you're worried about scissors. So I'll take these two on the plane with me and see how we get on, and then I'll take some other scissors in my like toiletries bag in my checked in luggage to use when we're over there, because once we're there, we're mainly getting around by car and boat and train and not really doing a whole lot of flying. We've done our best to avoid the airports as much as possible because it is quite busy at the moment, and there's been a few, you know, quite a few issues with flight cancellations as we've already experienced, and baggage going missing and everything like that. But otherwise, that's me. So I should probably go and clean and organize and finish my packing. I will, no doubt post some more updates on Instagram, so feel free to give me a follow. Details I'll put my Instagram handle in the notes below. But otherwise, keen to hear any thoughts you have on DMC Perle. Love to know if you know any cross-stitch needle workshops in Bologna, Verona in Italy, Venice. Where else are we heading? I don't know if there'll be any in the islands in Croatia, but if you do know any over there, and then any in like Krakow in Poland, or if you know anyone local that could then recommend where there's any sort of needlework embroidery shops. I'm sure I can't drag my partner, you know, like 10 k's on a train out of town to some small shop somewhere. But I'll be keeping my eye out to see what I can get, and if there's anything, you know, sort of stitching related that I can bring home with me. So I'll leave it here for now, but thank you very much for watching. I'll be back in August, and feel free to follow me along on Instagram or leave any comments below. Would love to hear what you're up to over the summer months, and otherwise hopefully lots of stitching to be done, and take care of yourselves.